I'm bringing this resolution, which I urge the board to support, and I have a feeling they will, to ensure we recognize all the people who stepped up for our schools and communities in different ways, from the moment we had to evacuate schools on Tuesday, January 7th, to the ongoing recovery efforts following last month's devastating wildfires, and we know we'll be in that recovery mode for months and years to come. We are all in agreement, as we heard, that our firefighters and first responders saved thousands of lives with their heroic efforts during the fires, but we all wanted to make sure we extended our gratitude to the district employees and labor partners who worked to keep our students and school communities safe and supported our community during this unimaginable tragedy, including the bus drivers, school police, and employees who leapt into action on the day of the fires to evacuate thousands of students to safety from our schools in and around the Palisades area. The school staff who dropped everything to join students on the buses as they evacuated, many of them leaving behind their own vehicles and other personal belongings to comfort and support students during the evacuation efforts. The staff at receiving schools who had to adapt at a moment's notice to welcome the displaced school communities. The custodial staff who worked around the clock to get schools clean and ready for a safe reopening and continue to work tirelessly to keep our kids healthy and safe every day. The employees who helped staff the district grab-and-go sites and supervision sites when schools were closed to make sure students who needed meals could still be fed and families who needed child care would have a place for their kids to engage in virtual instruction. The teachers who showed up for their kids in new ways and were there to support those who were displaced and had experienced so much trauma. The facilities and OEHS staff who worked literally overnight and over the weekends to relocate to schools. We know we have employees who are among the families who lost everything in the fires, and yet they continue to work on behalf of their students and provide the support that their school communities need. So even in crisis, and even when their physical campuses were damaged or couldn't be accessed, our schools were still there for the communities they serve. And it was crucial to our efforts to provide students with stability and support they needed in a time of so much uncertainty. And we can remain committed to supporting families as we rebuild and we recover together. And I just want to thank everyone for their support, and before I turn it over to Ms. Gomez, also just acknowledge, I think at least in the areas that I represent, in the Palisades, but also Altadena and Pasadena, this has been a real moment where there's a crisis of confidence in our government and our ability to do hard things and to protect our communities. And I think amidst a lot of the frustration and disappointment that many of us felt as residents and as lifelong Angelenos, the school district was a real bright spot that stepped up and relocated 2 elementary school campuses within a week, evacuated schools, had the best in-class cleaning and air quality standards. And there's always work to be done as we're evolving to a climate reality that we addressed in greening resolutions, and at one point 6 different fires raging in LA. But I'm really proud of the work that this district did, all of our employees and our labor unions, and was proud to be on the board during this crisis. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Gomez. And if I may, just one, I appreciate the support and the kind words. I also, in addition to our labor partners and the folks out in the field, I do want to thank folks in this building who worked around the clock too during those but during those first few days, from the superintendent, of course, who's been leading our response and also was with me on the ground in the Palisades the next morning, to our chief, police chief who's here, and Deputy Chief Basunder and others who were there supporting the community, Deputy Superintendent Salcedo and his team, Dr. Murphy, who was negotiating side letters with our labor partners to make sure kids had a continuity of instruction, and then Mr. Chait, too, who I know is in the back, and the school operations team, who I don't know if Andres slept for like 4 or 5 days, because I was getting texts like every hour about winds and fires and when to open. And so here, I just want those folks to go not without notice. And then finally, just closer to home, my immediate staff, we have a small but mighty team in Board District 4, and they were working around the clock for those first few weeks, still are, supporting the folks in the Palisades and nearby communities. So just a lot of gratitude, and thanks for all the support.
And don't forget Dr. Webb. I see you through the glass there,
indeed.
Dr. Webb. Thank you, too. Thank you, too.